Hello, everyone, and welcome to the panel for the Communication, Leadership, and Professional Development from the UNCG Speaking Center. My name is Nari Beatty, and I am the chair of this panel, as well as a managing consultant within the Speaking Center. Before we get into this, I would like to remind you all to keep your mics muted in order to minimize any background noise unless you would like to speak. To provide some background knowledge on what this panel is about, we will be discussing how communication centers can aid in professional and development skills. The University Speaking Center hones in on developing and implementing ways to aid students in effectively developing oral communication skills with confidence and competence. Within that process, we provide students with constructive feedback, guidance through detailed tip sheets, public speaking preparation and delivery within professional environments that consist of individual and/or group presentations. Implementing professional development and leadership skills within the center is shown through utilizing our communication skills effectively, executing these learning tools from various classes and instruction from the director, graduate assistants, and managers within the center and through consultations, as well as exemplifying professionalism within and outside of the workplace. Today, we will be addressing these three main objectives consisting of an enhanced discussion about how communication centers can help with professional development, expanding upon our leadership experiences and how that has helped us as professionals in and outside of the center, as well as an open dialogue about the role of a leader and a student within the center. On this panel, we have Jayla A.G., a 390 student who is currently taking the Speaking Center Theory and Practice course to soon become a consultant. We have Jordan Wright, who has served as a manager and is now a graduating graduate assistant, and I, Nari Beatty, who is a managing consultant. Each of us will present our perspectives on each of the three objectives previously listed. And if you all have any questions after our panel discussion, please feel free to leave them within the comment section. All right, let's get started. We will begin with Jayla and then transition into Jordan.
Thank you, Nari. Hello, everyone. My name is Jayla Ag, and I'm currently a sophomore undergraduate student here at UNC Greensboro, majoring in communication studies. Currently, I am a junior trainee and plan to work with the University Speaking Center during the upcoming fall 2022 semester. Throughout the current spring semester, I have had the opportunity to take the course Communication Studies, or CST 390, Speaking Center Theory and Practice. As described by USC Greensboro's course catalog, CST 390 is designed to explore principles of communication across the curriculum, apply them to interpersonal communication, listening, group communication, public speaking, and pedagogy to ultimately prepare communication consultants in UNC Greensboro's Speaking Intensive program. With being enrolled in Speaking Center Theory and Practice, I have gained personal experiences in which the Communication Center has helped me with professional development. One way in which I have gained skills in professional development is through completing shadow hours. With completing weekly 1 hour shifts known as shadow hours on Mondays and Tuesdays, I've been able to practice and get a feel for what a day in the life as a Speaking Center consultant entails. With doing activities such as mock consultations and shadowing student consultations with individuals who work at the Speaking Center, I've been able to talk to Nari and Jay, and I've been had the opportunity to utilize and become familiar with observing and analyzing speeches. While completing mock consultations, I have also been able to practice filling out report forms and have obtained advice and tips from consultants who do so on a daily basis. Another way in which I have obtained professional development techniques is through completing a 390 checklist. Each week, I have been able to learn and discuss important skills for working at the Speaking Center, such as learning the speech making process, locating tip sheets, understanding privacy rights, and navigating through our online Speaking Center folder. Through reviewing these skills, this has helped me become competent in duties and responsibilities of a consultant. Ultimately, working and communicating with consultants, shadowing consultations, and practicing consultations weekly has allowed me to track my progress as a consultant in training, collaborate with my future colleagues, and has helped me develop beneficial professional skills. So now I'll pass it to Jordan.
Hello, I'm Jordan. I am the graduate assistant for the University Speaking Center. And like Nari said before, I worked as a manager for this Speaking Center. I've been at the Speaking Center since 2015 as I started off as an undergrad. So I've been here a long time, and it's allowed me to develop a lot of my professional skills. And one of the ways communication centers have been allowed me to develop my professional skills is in accountability. And basically that's just making sure you're doing your part and taking care of your responsibilities, or especially around the center. And as a graduate assistant, we do have tasks and responsibilities such as projects and workshops. And there will be times where we are working with other people, either other graduate students or your supervisors. But there's times where we have to work by ourselves and making sure these tasks get done in a timely and in an efficient manner. And also, going back to working together with people, it's also important to hold yourself accountable to getting stuff done in a timely manner, because you have someone else that depends on you to do your portion of the work for this project or this workshop. And another way we can talk about accountability is us as GAs, we are expected to be a part of leadership as well. So making sure, I think, being an example for undergraduate students or undergraduate consultants, and making sure you're doing your job, making sure that they're doing what they need to do, and upholding their responsibilities as communication consultants as well. And let's see, being an example of productivity. And I'll say, going into another way that has helped me, communication centers have helped me in my professional development, is transparency. So one thing I liked about being in the Speaking Center is that having people like Kim, Aaron, or Jenny be available if we have questions, or if we're struggling with the task. It's very helpful in that development, because it allows you to, one, help you get your stuff done faster, but it shows that you have people in your corner that care about your personal growth and development, and care that you need to get these tasks done, and are willing to help you along the way. And I think that also going back to having the people before me that came before me as managers or graduate assistants, having them available to be as a guide, be some for guidance. I think that's been helpful as well. And then finally, I would say conducting workshops over the years at Speaking Center. I think that a lot. At first, doing a workshop sounds very intimidating, but like once you have done the work and experienced it, it can be very helpful in teaching you how to be more of a teacher and a mentor. But also, there's a lot of very convenient information that you can use towards your own development as a student and a professional down the road. And pass it back to Nari.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you all. Thank you for your perspectives. And I'm going to give a little take on my perspective as well as a manager or a managing consultant, but I also believe that communication centers can help with professional development, as we're typically exposed to an environment where we're actively communicating with students, professionals, and leaders of various different backgrounds within the department and as well as outside the department, that are consistently guiding and instructing us, as well as peers within the center that allow us to implement and learn these ways to work ethically and impeccably as consultants. There are many opportunities within the center to develop and practice professionalism, as many of us take initiative through planning workshops, as Jordan has stated, training and preparing incoming consultants like Jayla was reflecting upon, as well as planning events and activities within our committees. Also maintaining effective work habits by making sure paperwork and appointments are set and ready for incoming students throughout the week, completing trainings to strengthen our consulting and leadership skills, and also following up and following through with our director and advisors on a weekly basis. And we've also had the chance to become pretty good problem solvers as well when we have many different issues that arise in the case of encountering disengaged students sometimes, especially during the pandemic, being short-staffed or having mix-ups within scheduling appointments. So we encounter and endure a lot of different setbacks, but as we endure these challenges, we are being put within this environment that has taught us how to manage these downfalls and proceed with positive and constructive attitudes along the way. What even helps even more is the support of my coworkers and directors of the Speaking Center. So now we will transition into our second objective, which consists of expanding upon our leadership experiences and how that has helped us as professionals within and outside of the center. So we will take it back to Jayla.
Thank you. Personally, leadership and professional skills that I have developed while taking the Speaking Center course has ultimately come into play in and outside of the Speaking Center. Often, I have found myself incorporating communication skills that consultants use into my everyday interactions with friends. So, for example, learning about active listening and how it allows speakers who visit the center to be heard and understood has allowed me to become attentive to the things individuals tell and talk to me about. Not only has this enabled me to grasp a better comprehension of what others say to me and come to me to talk about, but it has also helped me provide good and helpful responses to people that I am talking to. Another skill I have retained as a junior trainee has been learning to form interpersonal relationships with others. So, through communicating with consultants during my shadow hour shifts, as mentioned before, and peers outside of the Speaking Center, I have been able to develop strong connections with individuals at my university. So whether I have a question about class or simply want to talk about different topics with individuals, I know that I can talk to others and ultimately receive support from them. Not only has this allowed me to see how communication is important in efforts to build relationships, but it has also shown me that talking and relating to others on a personal level plays a big part in being comfortable in and outside of the professional settings. So I think I'll pass it to Jordan.
Thank you, Jayla. So, like I said, going back to the concept of me being here so long, you have the opportunity to develop a lot of skills professionally and as a leader. So, as some couple things I've picked up as in for leadership skills from working at the communication center is being someone who is collaborative and being like a facilitator. I put those two together because I feel like those go together really well. And I say being a collaborator because I feel like this is one of my leadership styles when it comes to being a leader. And I think that's main reason. And Speaking Center is probably one of the main reasons, because I feel like I'm someone that who's kind of who wants to be hands-on with if I need help or if I'm trying to help somebody. And because sometimes I'm not the best when it comes to explaining things. I can't tell you. I got to show you what I'm doing so you can get an understanding. But I want also, it's also being someone who wants to, if a student or a consultant has a problem with something and they need my help, I want to I want to be there to sit down with them and to figure it out with them. So so how can we solve this problem, instead of me just trying to tell you what to do, just like tell you these things right here, we just work together and just knocking it out as well. And also I try to play to people's strengths. So, and also give them room to have not just have an opinion, but have some idea of how they want to approach these certain things. And this is where the facilitator part comes in, as in, so if now that I know your strengths and what you're thinking about in approaching your ways you're approaching as a consultant or in a certain project, I'm going to allow you to have that, give you that space and that responsibility to work on that. And I will be there as someone who can answer your questions or provide you with certain resources that might help you along the way. And also just should be someone who can check up on you, or be somewhere who can be encouraging as well. I feel like we want to make, as a leader, we're trying to make the jobs easier for the people that are working under us or working for us. And so that means being just, I guess, all the things that I just explained right there. Also going to that concept of active listening, because active listening is important, because you have to know what your consultants, what your students need in order to get this thing done. And without active listening, you're not going to be able to help them at all. And they're just probably going to get stuck, or they're just going to have to find somewhere else to go to get that help when we want to be that help as well. So we can go back to the soften technique, just soften technique, using that skill to be but now I'm gonna transition to, I want to also transition to trust. So that goes into like building like that being cohesive, and being a manager. I thought that group cohesion was very important, because it allows your consultants or your students to be comfortable around you enough to talk about these problems that they're having, and ultimately allowing you to help them solve it. And also it increases productivity. And that's all I have for right now. And I'll pass it down to Nari.
Yeah, thank you both for your different insights on this. I can totally relate, even from a 390 perspective, and not as a graduate assistant perspective, but I definitely could hone into all of those tips and advice as a managing consultant. So from my experience as a managing consultant, let alone a consultant even to begin with, it has placed me in an immediate position to enforce those leadership skills, to help guide and mentor students that come to us from all over campus with various backgrounds of studies. Starting out as a consultant, I was able to adapt my communication style within my consultations through my assertiveness, approachability, and active listening skills, as Jordan honed in on. To become an active listener, I believe I was able to practice knowing when to speak and when to solely just listen to the speaker. I strive to show them that I care by asking them questions, sharing ideas, as well as providing them with feedback and advice. So in addition to my communication style, I also tried to implement a sense of transparency to make the student feel relatable, understood, and respected along the way. I implemented that sense of transparency to, build or make it easier to build rapport and a sense of trust with the student, to allow them to feel comfortable with sharing their challenges within publicly speaking as their goals, and, hope that they achieve that as communicators eventually. Lastly, I was also able to develop empathy and clarity. So I understood that empathizing with the student and meeting them where they were was crucial within the process of teaching them how to become confident communicators, because we all come into the Speaking Center at different levels. And I believe that the first thing, or the first step to make them feel motivated and encouraged, was to have someone there for them to guide them along the way, whether they've never given a speech within their lifetime, or they've given a plethora of speeches and still don't really feel comfortable or have met those multiple components to hit to become an effective communicator. So regarding clarity, I believe that developing a sense of clarity for that student will allow them to fully grasp onto the specifics of the public speaking realm and what strategies they can utilize to achieve their goal of becoming confident and competent communicators. So if something didn't make sense to them, I would try to practice simplifying those concepts through tip sheets and even like some educational videos along the way that could further break down those concepts. Mainly, they would provide different reasonings and examples to make it more relatable and easier to grasp onto. And they may be more current and relevant to them so that we're both on a common ground. So now we will transition to our very last objective, which is basically an open dialogue about the role of a leader and a student within the center. So I will pass it back to Jayla.
Thank you once again, Nari. So while we're enrolled in Speaking Center theory and practice, I have been able to learn and apply leadership skills. Throughout class and training, I have had the opportunity to lead class discussions, collaborate in groups, and as mentioned earlier, shadow consultations. With doing so, this has enabled me to differentiate and understand the roles of a leader versus a student within a communication center. So some key takeaways I have learned through observing consultations has been while students come into the Speaking Center to receive feedback about assignments or speeches, many consultants do more than simply analyze the work of students through asking students open-ended questions, personally relating to the students and providing tip sheets and resources like Nari mentioned to the students. Consultants ultimately express and provide students with support, which enables them to be comfortable while visiting and talking to consultants at the Speaking Center. Another way consultants also demonstrate leadership outside of the student consultations will be through working in different committees, such as the Anti-Racist Committee, the Service or Outreach Committee, and the Sustainability Committees to provide UNCG students with information and resources for a successful and supportive experience at UNC Greensboro. So personally, I am a part of the Public Relations Committee, and within this committee, I have witnessed leadership as our chair, Olivia, consistently posts weekly e-meetings to check in on the committee, asks us for inputs and ideas, and keeps us updated on how she's providing information and helpful advice to UNCG students via social media. So ultimately, when I began working with the UNCG Speaking Center during the upcoming fall semester, I intend to apply what I have learned and experienced as a student in 390 to my everyday work at the center. And ultimately, as I continue to learn and practice leadership skills, I hope to help support and change the lives of students the same way in which consultants have done for me at my time at UNCG. And I'll pass it to Jordan.
All right, thank you. So I guess I feel like I've said this a lot, but Speaking Center has given me a lot of opportunities to build up my leadership and my professional development skills. And in a lot of ways, there's been a lot of ways. So from like the internship, or like Jayla has mentioned, the committees where we have various committees where we try to be involved, whether it's around the Speaking Center or around campus, just doing our parts to overall improve our surroundings, and then I would say that for our leadership skills that it's important that we're accountable. We are accountable, that we have some transparency. We have transparency in what we are doing, because we're working with various people, and there's times we're going to be working for ourselves, and there's going to be times where we need to have results, and we have to continue. We want to continue the Speaking Center and to be a place for everyone, especially for students and consultants. And there's things there's maintenance that needs to be done. Sorry. But it's a lot of the leadership skills that I've learned I've been able to transfer towards my graduate program, and it's been very helpful. And I've used a lot of these skills throughout for my work. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I was passing off to Nari.
Thank you guys for that. I totally agree. I think, you know, for consultants, managing consultants, graduate assistants, and directors that serve as leaders within the centers, all of us really, we work by providing advice and strategies that are typically tailored towards the student's organizational and delivery needs for publicly given speeches or presentations. So we offer our time at an energy that communicates to the student, that will give them as many resources they need and give them our personal time sometimes to like provide them with tip sheets, speech anxiety exercises, videos just demonstrating those concepts to better prepare them for their presentations. So regarding the student's role within the center, I think that the center's leaders look forward to having them want to strive themselves and want to excel in developing competent communication skills. And this generally includes arriving to the center with something to start off with. So we don't typically sit down with them and tell them what to do or complete their speech for them. We don't even expect them to have it all figured out or completed on the spot, but having a start helps both of us build upon the fundamentals to include within their presentations. So as we can't write their speeches for them, like I've previously stated, we can start by asking them, you know, guiding questions, which typically helps them utilize the prior knowledge that they already have before coming into the center upon the topics that they want to present on. So what makes our jobs as consultants even more lovable is when we see progress even later on into the consultation. So I know you're probably thinking like, the consultation's only 30 minutes. How are you already seeing progress? Well, you know, a lot of them come into the center nervous or sometimes even clueless upon where to even start. But throughout the consultation, as we're giving them that guiding feedback and advice that they can hone in on or implement within their practice or organization, you know, realm of the speech, we can see them grasping onto those concepts and further understanding, oh, this is how I'm going to utilize this within my speech when I finally present it. Oh, this is how I want to approach this topic. You know, different factors relating to that helps us, you know, realize that, okay, they're grasping onto the feedback that we've given them. We're seeing growth already. So, you know, they start to understand and implement the feedback provided, and sometimes we see them a second or even third time around, which helps them become a more blossomed and polished speaker before the visit or even after those numerous visits. So many students have expressed how relieving and reassuring our services have been and are sometimes ready to come back for a fourth visit in some cases. So that's always reassuring and great to hear. All right, well, I think that this wraps up our panel, but before we conclude, I'm just going to give a short synopsis of each of the speakers' you know, experiences as a 390 student and as a graduate assistant, and even my experience as a managing consultant. So I thank you, Jayla and Jordan, for your input on the questions that were posed. And you know, Jayla honed in on being a student in junior training, and that allowed her to experience, learn, and develop professional development skills to use as speaking center consultant, and ultimately throughout her undergraduate experiences and opportunities at UNCG. And then we had Jordan summarizing his communication center experience to obtain a professional development through accountability, transparency, and conducting workshops. So working as a consultant has led him as a GA to develop leadership skills such as collaboration, cohesion, and active listening, which has helped him through his time as a grad student. And then lastly, myself, I've discussed how I believe that communication centers can help with professional development as we're exposed to an environment where we're actively communicating with students of various backgrounds, We are able to hone in on taking initiative, effective work habits, and problem solving, and as well as my experiences as a managing consultant being placed in an immediate position to enforce those leadership skills through my assertiveness, approachability, and active listening skills. Lastly, I talked about how, the leaders' roles within the center was to provide advice and strategies that are tailored towards the students' organizational and delivery needs, and the students' role being to show up prepared to take constructive feedback and build upon any prior knowledge that they have walking into the consultation. So thank you all again for your feedback, and thank you as an audience for listening to us. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below this video, and we will be more than happy to get back with you with answers. Thank you all.